Hi, in this video, let us discuss about TreeSet. TreeSet is one of the collection framework class and it implements set interface. So it will only allow unique values. So if you want to store an object into a set, it will check for duplication. So it will not allow duplicate values. But another important thing about TreeSet is TreeSet. Actually, when you try to store an object into a tree set stores the objects using tree structure, and the stored objects actually uh, stored in an ordered, sorted manner. That is, the objects stored in tree set are sorted. Okay, it maintains a sorted order. So we will see one code sample for that, how it maintains sorted. See, we will see one code sample. So let us, in this main class, inside the main method, we will create one tree set. Okay. Set tree set. We give a name to this class as object as my tree set equal to new tree set. So this tree set actually stores only string objects. So we need to import the tree set here. Let us do that part. Okay. So now what we do is we will add some string objects into this my tree set using the add method. We store some of the string like we store C, we store A, and we store B. Finally, we store the value B. Okay. These are the string objects we have stored into this set. Now we print the values stored inside the my tree set. Okay. So since the tree set, when it stores the objects are stored objects are sorted. Okay, so we can see the output to see how it is ordered or sorted the objects. We will see in the output. Okay, let us print this, print the content inside the tree set object. So we have stored this string C, A, D, then B. Now we will run this code and see the output, how the output is displayed. See the output A, B, C, and D. So now it is sorted, right? So it is sorted, right? A, B, C, then D in the alphabetical order. Okay. So now what we do? we try to store a duplicate value and see how the uh, duplication, whether it is allowing the duplicate value. So let us store C again. Once again we store C and see whether it is allowing or not. Okay. Now we run it again, run this code again and see the output now. See, we have tried to add this C again, once again, but it is, since it's a duplicate value, it is not stored into the tree set. Okay. So now next thing is interesting example we will see. Let us yeah, try to store different type of objects into tree set and see how it uh, behaves, how the tree set behaves in this manner, in this case. So let us create one more main class, main2, and inside the main method, what we do is we will create again a tree set object, and let us try to store different types of object into the tree set. See how it works. So this time we don't use the generics. Simply we declare tree set my tree set, new tree set. So now we have created a tree set object. Now what we do, let us add string object first. In A we can add it. Then we add an integer object. So now first we add a string A. Then we add a integer object. Then we add a double or float object again. Okay. So new integer. So now next thing is we add a float object. Create a float object and add it to the tree set and see float. So now what we do, let us try to print the content of this tree set object. So how to do that? We use the system.out.println and print the content. So now what we do? Let us run this code and see the output. We got the exception. So what is the exception? Java.long classcast exception. So java.long string cannot be cast to java.long integer. So this exception is thrown at this place, that is when compare to method of the integer object is called. It means that first we added a string object at line number 10. We added a string object A, it is stored. Then at line number 11 we tried to add a integer object into this tree set. Since tree set, when the objects are stored, it is also ensure this object stored in sorted manner, right? So when the object is stored, it will compare the objects. So if the objects we store are not comparable, then in that case we will get this exception. Since we are going to store integer object but already string object is present, so the integer object compared to method is called and the string object is passed to the compared to method. So in that case, since the the string object is not comparable with the integer object, so we are getting this exception. So in order to, if you want to store objects into the tree set, you should ensure that the objects are comparable to each other, because the tree set when it store the object, it maintains the sorted order. It will sort also. It will sort the object and store it in a sorted order. Okay. So next thing is, what we do is we will try to store employee. We will create a object of a employee class and try to store that object into the tree set and see what happens. So we have a class called the employee. We will see that class, and this class is having two instance variables, id and name, and it has get methods, and we have constructor, and we have hash code equals. All those methods are available here. Okay, we also add a toString method. It will be useful for us. So we have to add this, like using by clicking source generate toString and click OK. So we get the toString method into this class. Okay, so now, yeah, this method is added to this employee class. Now what we do is we will um, create one more main class, main3, and inside the public static void main method, let us create few employee objects. So what we can do is, let us create employee objects e1 to new employee, and we pass id 101, name as r, and we create few more employee objects e2, e3, and so on, e3, e3, and e4, and id as 102 ish, 103 Ramya, 104, 104. So these are the employee objects we have created. Now what we do is we will store these employee objects into the tree set. First thing is we need to create one tree set object. Let us create that one. So let us create a tree set object. So here the generics we have to use it as employee, tree set employee. It's used to store employee objects, right? So now what we do is we need to store these employee objects into the tree set. Okay. So my tree set dot add. You have to pass the employee object. Okay, we'll add all these employee objects into this tree set. E2, E3, and E4. So now we have added all these employee objects. Now let us print these employee objects. Now let us print the tree set, my tree set. Okay, so we can use system.out.println. Since we have implemented the toString method inside the employee class, it will print the employee details. Okay, so now we have done everything. So now we have created employee objects, 4 employee objects, and we added these employee objects into this tree set. Then we finally print this value inside the tree set. Now let us run this code and see the output now. Okay, so run this code. So we are getting exception. So what exception we got? Class cast exception. Class cast exception. com.training.employee cannot be cast to java.learn comparable. That means we need to implement this comparable interface. So if you are going to store an object of a class that we have written, then that class must implement this comparable interface, because TreeSet uses the compare to method of comparable interface to compare the employee objects. So while it is storing that object, it's also sorting that object. So in order to sort, it has to compare the object. So in order to compare, we have to implement the comparable interface in the employee class. So let us do that part now. So what we need to do is, in our employee class we have to implement the comparable interface. Okay, comparable. This comparable interface has only one method, that is called compare to method. So we have to add this compare to method, and we have to implement that method. So how to implement this compare to method? Inside the method we have to determine the logic in which way we want to compare two objects to employee, which way we want to sort these employee objects. Suppose we want to sort the employee objects using the name of the employee, then we have to compare the two names. So how to do that? So for that we have to write this code this way. First thing is, we have to downcast this object passed to this compare to method. The compare to method parameter type is object, but employee object is passed to this compare to method. So we have to cast down to employee object. Then we have to get the name of the employee object. So let us do this way: string name, string other name, string other name equal to, have to cast it employee. Also we have to call the method of the employee class, employee object. That is, you have to call the, see this way, you have to call the method, get name method you have to call, right? Now we store this get name method in the other name. Then we have to compare the two names, that is the current object name that we need to call using the return name, right? Name dot, or you can say this name is more professional way is, you can use this always refers to the current object. This dot name, this dot name, this dot name dot string actually implements the compare to method. So compare to, you have to pass the other name. This name you have to pass. We are comparing the current object name and the name passed in the object. That is, the object passed to this compare to method. That object's name we are comparing, and this will return the integer value. Based on the comparison, it will return either it is -1 or 0 or +1. Both names are equal means it will return the 0. If one name is greater than another name is, then it will return positive value. If it is less than other name means it will return the negative value. So based on that, the tree set will decide which one to come first. Okay, so now we have done this part, right? So next thing is, we can run this code and see the output now. So now what we do is, we can go to the main 3, right? Main 3, and what we can do is, we can run this code and see the output. Let us run this code and see the output now. See, now the values are printed. See, first Kumar employee object with the Kumar name is printed, then Lakshman, then Magesh, finally we get Ramya. So it is sorted. Okay,